Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the meeting of council of January 21st, it being 7 p.m. I'll call the meeting to order. Council, we have an agenda in front of us. But first, I guess, just any concerns on conflicts? Not seeing anything. Then the adoption of the agenda. There will be a minor change in item 7.3 that we'll get to when we get to that part of the agenda. So with that noted, if I could have a motion to adopt. Thank you, Councillor Shepherd and Councillor Toth. All in favor? We're adopted. I just, if council will indulge me, a quick comment about a delegation in 2 weeks, but it as after the event actually starts. So I wanted to flag that February 1st to 7th, I'll be proclaiming as White Cane Week in the District of Sechelt. And it's a week in which we will celebrate our abilities and not our disabilities. And Bill Conway will be here to recognize the week in 2 weeks. But I did want to declare that the whole week will be White Cane Week. So without anything further, we can move on to item 5.1, which is the development permit for 5500 Sechelt Inlet Crescent. And there he is, virtually on the screen, Mr. Hall. Thank you. We have your report in front of us. Is there anything you want to highlight, Mr. Hall?
Just to highlight, we have industrial development here, a new window manufacturing plant proposed for this site. So the manufacturing on site, warehousing, office, and an associated caretaker suite as part of the industrial development for this property. It's been through a number of revisions. APC had some comments. Applicants have updated their plans in response to those comments. So overall, where we are, we have the development permit ready to be approved. It meets all the objectives and guidelines of development permit area number 10. And yeah, staff are excited to have a new industrial building proposed for the town. So hopefully the building permit will follow soon after. I believe the applicant representatives are available virtually if council had any questions, but otherwise it's fairly straightforward.
Thank you very much. Anything, council, any questions? Councillor Toth.
Thank you. And I suppose it's mostly just for my own information, peace of mind, if you will. The drawing on page 14 shows the warehouse on the second floor. But I'm like, I don't see that and I guess it's outside the DPA scope, so it's mostly just a curiosity thing, but are they intending some sort of like forklift access from the greater facility, or, you know, whatever is being warehoused on that second floor, they're gonna have to take outside, huff up the stairs and bring back into the building? I'm just looking for a little context there. Thanks.
No, it's only windows.
Yeah.
Mr. Hall, anything you?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I have anything I can enlighten council on that particular element, but we can certainly follow up with the applicants and.
Okay. Okay. By the way, I should say if the applicant is online and would like to say anything, you can raise your virtual hand in Zoom. Oops, and with that, a hand is raised. So Mr. Yang, please, we'll promote you to being able to speak. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, please, we can hear you.
Thanks, Mayor and councilors. Yeah, so for this warehouse part of this building, that's the it will be for the general storage for the workshop. So based on the owners the consideration, yeah, so that may be for some tools and for the storage.
And I guess the question is, will it be portable? Well, I'll let you. Okay, thank you, Mr. Yang.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions, council? I'd entertain a motion. Counselor Shepherd?
Yeah, I'll move the recommendation on page 3.
And seconded. Any discussion? Counselor Inkster?
Just a question. I'm glad to see this. It's potential jobs for the people of our community. And the product's not coming from elsewhere, so it's another piece good for the development industry to buy some large local products. Do we know how many? I just was trying to search for it, and maybe just because of the components here, do we know how many jobs this will create, or when it's built, based on the size? I wonder. Just Mr. Yang's here, so maybe he can enlighten us.
Okay, I'll entertain it, but just Mr. Yang, approximately how many employees do you hope that this business will employ? Do you know?
Yeah, so for how many, for exact number of this employment, I don't have this kind of information. But based on owner's proposal, I do believe it will create many jobs on this project. Yeah.
And to be fair, I appreciate it's not your business, so
Yeah.
it's not something you would necessarily know. Okay,
Hopefully they're industrial wage jobs, and there's a few of them, so that's, thanks.
Great.
Thanks for asking that.
okay, thank you. We have a motion in front of us. There's nothing else. I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried, unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Yang, and thank you, Mr. Hall.
Thanks.
Council, we then go to item 5.2 on page 30, and this is the Farmers and Artisans Market. And we have the staff report. Anything you wish to enhance?
Thank you for the question. This is a 3-year agreement, and staff looked at the plans for the area in the coming years. We worked with the farmers market to develop a plan that would work for both the district and the farmers market. We also consulted with transit and fire, and so this plan has all of that informing the agreement. And we do have the chair of the board with us tonight if you have further questions for him as well. Otherwise, I think the report is fairly straightforward. There is an amendment to the agreement that speaks to their further use of the top part of Cowrie that kind of bleeds into Shorncliffe. And we're able to give them notice to move if we have workers there at that time. And I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So that is in the agreement? Yeah, thank you. In the version we have. Okay, thank you. Councillor Inkster.
Thank you. I'm okay with moving it, and if you're comfortable with that, the recommendation in front of me.
Oh,
Yeah.
you can make a motion.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to move the recommendation, not the market, if there was confusion, that's presented to us. And then just wanted to say a couple of things about that. If
Okay,
it's seconded.
so
Thank you.
moved, and there is a seconder, so please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. This has come before us before, and I'm happy to see this, in a sense, amendment to the previous discussion. As many may have known, I was supportive of the farmers market continuing in that location for as long as it was workable. I had thought then that the concerns re the development would not occur for a number of years just based on some history and some things that were going on. So I'm glad to see that we've found for now a solution for the farmers market to stay where they are. I think it's, as I said then, I think it's really good for the downtown that it creates a lot of walking traffic back and forth. Some may not think it does. I don't know who they are. But if you're ever downtown during the summer, you'll notice the traffic going back and forth or either way into our downtown core from the farmers market. So it creates a lot of foot traffic in the downtown core and a busy downtown core on Saturday morning going into the early afternoon. We know that there's a lot of local products sold there and a lot of local micro manufacturing products sold there. So it's good for a lot of local people. It's a large farmers market, so there's a lot of booths I'm just generally happy that we've been able to accommodate them. I think when they were asked to look for alternative locations and or encouraged, what I thought may happen is they would have difficulty finding a location that's that good, and it would risk the shrinking of the market and or a change in a number of things they're doing. So I'm just saying I'm continuing with my support for the farmers market at that location, as I had said before. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Maybe to pick up on that, oops, okay, so Councillor Inkster will hold his microphone closer the next time.
Yeah, I said I
Um,
like the market. That's what I said.
Yes, you said.
Yeah, I said I like the market. Yeah.
Because when you moved this motion, and I think in February, part of it was to get options to be considered by council. Was that done? Did we get a report back? Is it Ms. Roberts?
Thank you for the question. We didn't bring options back to council. The market at the time was quite opposed to moving. So instead of bringing options, we discussed them anecdotally, but we tried to make this work and were able to. So that might be something for the future, but at this time it seemed to work for both parties. If that's something council is interested in a full report, we could certainly do that, but this seemed to be the biggest benefit to the community at the time.
Okay, thanks. So it didn't come back to us. Okay. And you mentioned something else that tweaked for me. Because I've heard other views that it is good for the downtown or it's not good. So I'm curious, did we get formal responses from the Chamber of Commerce or the SDBA?
And the SDBA was interested in the spot on Inlet because it was closer to where the shops were. The SDBA did come in and meet with staff. We did, like I said before, we met with fire and transit as well. The transit has the same problem wherever the market is, and fire has been working closely with John and his team to make it work and to be at compliance. So they're satisfied at this point. We have not spoken with the chamber about moving the market.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Inkster.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything from the chamber, and maybe you have, because you go to their meetings. Maybe you'd have more on that subject. SDBA, the proposal on Inlet, I can't remember the exact location, but if they move them down there and there's not enough room for market and or there's parking utilized right near downtown core for only market users, which can happen up here, then there'll be complaints about all the merchant parking being taken up. I can just predict it. I've been here since the 80s, and that's been, I think people complain about parking issues in Sechelt in the summer just after they complain about the Canucks. It's just we sometimes don't have enough parking, and often we have a lot of parking. So it's just interesting because that's my concern, is that there wouldn't be enough parking if they relocated, but I'm certainly happy. I mean, there's lots of parking around here, there, and down the streets. So, yeah.
No, and that's, my question wasn't to re-debate that, but as much that what there was, I wanted to make sure I hadn't missed something, that there was a report to come back, but we're getting this now. So, yeah. Councillor Toth, please.
Thank you. Two comments, I guess, on the parking part of things. I know it's obviously quite convenient that the mall is right next door, basically. You know, as a merchant when I was a merchant in the building for 12 years, I know the parking was a bit of an angst issue for Trail Bay Properties and a lot of the merchants in the building. But I'm not in there anymore, and I think overall the market provides a good community benefit. I think it's in a good spot, given the other options that are around town, which are few and limited in capabilities. At the bottom of page 31, it mentions the intersection signalization at Highway 101 and Shorncliffe. And I think it's interesting because I think the report has framed it as maybe a negative, like a negative impact with the market, but I think it might actually be beneficial to the market, both from a traffic control perspective and also helping to appease some of the concerns from folks up the hill, like up past the high school. I was on the Downtown Business Association board at one point when this was a topic of conversation, and up the hill traffic coming into town has always been a big deal, and more so as that place gets more developed. So honestly, that light can't come soon enough, and I know that it's out for tender right now. It's on BC Bid, so hopefully they get lots of contractors bidding on it, and we see that move forward quickly. Thank you.
Good, thank you. I was going to go there and maybe to add to that topic. Do we know if the lights are going to be pedestrian activated or timed? Timed signal, yes, Lisa.
Pedestrian and they're,
Time,
yeah, they're pedestrian and they don't have the same emergency function as the other lights. We can look into it further.
Okay, thank you, because I think if we haven't done so, we should be encouraging it to actually be a timed intersection where whether it's activated by a car waiting to turn off Shorncliffe, that would at least trigger what you were saying. It'll make a lot of things easier for people. If it's only pedestrians turning left off of Shorncliffe onto Toreto Highway, it won't solve a lot of our problems. Please.
Yeah, you sometimes in Sechelt, because of how politicized our town has become, want to get ahead of some of the concerns. I wonder if the left turn at Toreto or the highway there coming from up the hill is how long it is. I'm just not sure. We don't know if you're turning left into town when you come down the hill and go over there to come into town. I'm wondering if it's maybe you need better mics. I'm wondering if it's as long or less as long as waiting at the bottom of Norwest Bay, which anybody that lives in West Sechelt has to do to turn left. So I just wonder how long it is. There's a lot of questions. And the other part about locating it here rather than somewhere else in the downtown core, if there's enough room and parking there, is it takes people about, I don't know, 2 minutes to get from the market to one minute probably to get to the mall and 2 minutes to get to the stores further down Calgary. So like I said, people are moving back and forth. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I flagged this because it's in here. Actually, Councillor Toth got to it first, but I just think this is a hugely important thing. And if it is activated by vehicles, it'll help space out the traffic along Toreto. So we can move on. Were there other questions? Councillor Shepherd, please.
Through the chair, I wonder if I could ask staff, I note on page 31, the last bullet point, the market draws in excess of electricity and often trips the district of Sechelt electrical breaker. This initiates overtime for the district's facilities. I'm just wondering if there is a fix for it and the market could pay for. Is it something that is easily fixed? Thanks.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Thank you for the question. Since this report, that has been fixed. So it's been again, between the partnership, there's more propane being used by the farmers market, and we've upgraded our system. So between the two of us, we've fixed the problem.
Great. John is not going to be happy with me, but I have to ask, is $50 a day commercial? Is it fair? Are we? I'm sure it is because it's in the report, but we're not actually charging anything for using the Kauri Street. Would that be a fair statement? Council's okay with that? The SDBA businesses pay fees to us. Business owners pay their fee. So it's not going to be a lot of money one way or another, but it just flagged for me. Please, Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes, thank you, through the chair. I mean, I see not charging for this because really streets are a part of the public realm. And I can't think of another area in Sechelt that is more enjoyed by the public. and a draw for tourists. And also our little microeconomies that we have going with all the people making things and selling things. So I wouldn't want to look at it as a way to make more money, but what it does make more money. They've proven that it makes a lot of money and it makes people happy. There's trees there. It's close to City Hall. There's washrooms. It seems relatively safe. People don't seem to be having conflicts generally with cars or anything. So it's kind of like, I'm glad we came to the solution. It's relatively a free solution. And that's a good thing these days. And it's kind of reflects our strategic plan as it shows in this report, to be sharing and caring. And it highlights a lot of things that are in the strategic plan. And I won't get into them all, but I think it's a great solution. I wish we had come to it originally and didn't go through so much angst to get here. But living and learning, I guess that's what we're all doing on council when we're new especially. So thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Inkster.
Yeah, just try to cover all the concerns if there's any out there, because it's such a good amenity for the few months that it's here, is in reference to the fees that we were talking about, covered so many topics. When I asked if other groups are paying fees, I was kind of rhetorical. I thought they weren't. I don't think that these groups should pay fees for putting on community events that benefit not only the wider community, but our merchants. So that's why I was asking. Thanks.
Councillor Bell.
Yes, through the chair, a final comment. I don't remember the statistics that were shared with us around what the benefits this market brings in. And I think that what they are paying is absolutely worth every penny. We're talking about a viable downtown. We know right now that we've got concerns about empty storefronts. This market is one of our features right now, and I think we should be very proud of it and do everything we can to keep it going, thriving, and sustainable.
Hey, can I bring up then one other piece, which is the secondary area? Because I see reference because of the potential or the hope for construction on the Solis property. Is the concern that construction will be on Saturdays? Yeah, please.
Yeah, if you look at the recent construction in town, TELUS, Community Services, Green Court, et cetera, it is a 6-day-a-week construction. We don't have that specified here, but that would be the anticipation, yes.
Okay. So is there a possibility then to, it's sort of dislocated, and in which case we'd have construction traffic presumably coming between the primary area and the secondary. Is there not a way to cut the curb or something out of that little secondary area and let the traffic come straight through and move this secondary area and abut it to the main lease area?
Intersection improvements are planned for that area. But I also think that, there's a variety of safety factors, and I can let Director Lee answer that, but we are looking at rearranging that intersection, but it needs to be a little bit more open and less encumbered than it has been in past years for safe passage of people. And then eventually those buildings will in fact be occupied within presumably the extent of this lease and people coming and going on a regular basis.
Right. But I'm thinking even on a Saturday, if you're, a truck coming through, that's a real different issue for the market. Director Lee?
Yes, thank you for the question. So I would expect, depending on the construction schedule and the staging of construction, there would need to be some coordination with the way it's arranged. So if in fact there was something occurring on a Saturday that required traffic control or some kind of special configuration, that would be dealt with on a case-by-case basis. So I think this is kind of generally the layout, but there may be times where the groups have to work together for a traffic management strategy.
Yeah, that's okay. Is the last thing we need is a industrial accident or whatever. So we're in a position with this agreement to move or take back the secondary area, and therefore, in theory, we could even renegotiate as we get whether the construction is this summer or next summer. I guess is okay. I think there's some ways to maybe take that and have it straight through, because even the curve is a problem for heavy equipment, I would think, for big equipment. Okay, council, anything else? Did we get the motion? And so I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Council, that takes us to, council appointments on page 42. And anything, council? Councillor Shepherd.
Through the chair, it's a small item, but I know on page 45, I'm listed as the primary for Sunshine Coast Housing Action Table, and it's really Councillor Bell's been doing most of the work related to that, so I think that
Okay.
should be changed.
Okay, and I was going to note that I'm technically the alternate on the Chamber of Commerce, but I've been attending, and Councillor Inkster, you've not been able to attend, I gather. So perhaps you should be the alternate going forward?
Well, I'm not sure what that means because, I mean, could I go like you were going when I was the appointee then?
Yes, alternates can always attend. but-
Always attend, because it doesn't matter then to me if I'm the alternate, then
Okay.
if I can still attend and I'd like to be included on, still to be continued on their mailing list. There's been some times when I haven't gotten emails. So I just want to make sure that I get them all the time so that I can attend the meetings if it works for me. It's just, Wednesday is often
Mhm.
a work day.
Right.
Because of when they have their meetings. And that's to probably meet everyone else's schedule, of course, not mine. But that's been the challenge. But I'm okay with changing it. So I'm the alternate, but I'd still like to get all the materials and
Right.
be able to go to the meetings.
Okay, very good. Let's make that change. Anything else, council? Any other? Councillor Bell?
Through the chair, I'm having a gray moment, literally. I really don't remember what the Pivot Empowering Recovery Society panel is.
Hmm.
I can't remember. Brenda, Councillor Rowe. Is it still?
Please.
Okay. I believe that is the group that came out of our community, very early community
Yes.
safety discussions. I'm not sure if that panel is still active, though. I have had no communications with regards to that, so but that's what it was.
Okay, thank you. I don't think it's still active.
Okay, so you don't need to be on that. And if they phone us or say we want somebody, we can deal with it at the
Don't know
time.
who- I don't know who they are, to be
Okay,
honest.
so we'll strike the Pivot Empowering Recovery Society panel and Councillor Bell from that. Okay. I think anybody got any other requests? Anybody want to volunteer for something? Councillor Inks, Toth, please.
Not so much a volunteer, just to highlight if we're mentioning groups that don't seem to be meeting much or at all. I'm the representative to the South Coast Tourism Advisory Committee. And I think it's been 2 years since I've gotten an invite to one of their meetings. I don't know if Sunshine Coast Tourism is still intending to do it. Honestly, if somebody else wants to take that role and try and shake that bush and revitalize it, that's okay with me. And then the Seashell Sewage Facilities Commission, wherever it is, I'm listed there. And again, it hasn't met at all this term, and I don't know that it will, but happy to continue on unless somebody else wants to be there in paper only. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's certainly still a committee, which unlike my contribution, the top of page 45, Councillor Inkster and I are listed as participants in the Ferry Advisory Committee, which I think sadly can be struck.
Sadly.
Okay, I'm sure you have all of that. So if there's nothing else, a motion, please, to, I guess, to, and, well, we're doing them. Oh, and then also we need to deal with the recommendations. Let's do them in reverse. So the appointments list that we just gone through as amended, that it be approved and seconded, all in favor, carried. And then recommendation 1 on the top of page 42, that a member of council be appointed as acting mayor beginning February 1st, 2026. I say that very carefully because I don't actually think we have a term for deputy mayor in the community charter. So, so that to comply with that, the resolution should read. And are we looking for volunteers at this point? That plan? We should be looking around it. Please, oh, Ms. Folsom's
So if I
volunteering.
might just provide a point, just a little bit of clarification. The resolution is written, I believe, with a acting/deputy because the term has been used interchangeably, not only in verbal context, but also in some of our documentation. So just to clarify, the appointment would be filling both of those, just for language use clarity, that both of those mean the same thing.
Okay, but I don't understand if it's not defined in the statute that we should then explain what the deputy mayor is in our resolution.
Correct. It would be helpful to have the documentation, use a definition in any of the paperwork where that term is included.
Well, then I'd suggest let's leave it as acting mayor. And if you want to use that going forward, we can address it then. So 2 parts, the recommendation is that a member, but it's fine, but does somebody want to volunteer, or has that been? Councillor Shepherd was pointing at Councillor Inkster.
Yeah, I don't know if Councillor Inkster wants to continue on in the role after February 1st. I'm happy to take it back on. It's,
You're, oh, good, you're happy. Yeah, I just, we haven't really talked about it. I'm glad you're happy to take it back on, and I probably should give it back to you as promised, or I have to watch how I leave tonight. I think you really like the position. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
Okay.
yeah, I'm okay with that. If, but, I mean, I said till February 1st, so yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
So you'd like to make the motion then, Councillor Inkster? That Councillor Shepherd be appointed acting mayor beginning February 1st? Sure. Second? Yep. Any other discussion? I should have asked if there are any other volunteers. Okay, all in favor? Sorry, yeah, okay, you voted in favor, so I guess you're okay. Thank you. Thanks for doing that. Okay, so that takes us to the item 5.4, community safety next steps. And that starts on page 46. Ms. Roberts?
Thank you. I will make this brief. So the intention of the report is to streamline the community safety initiatives with a focus on being nimble with quick action. The technical group that's proposed will be staff-led and will include subject matter experts to inform the remainder of the council term and initiate further evidence-based change. I believe Councillor Bell and Councillor Shepherd will remain in the group, and therefore the public will still have a voice through council. But I will turn it over to you to carry on the conversation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Please.
Through the chair, so I'm going to add some additional information on this, and I'm going to read from my notes because I prepared for it. We have been hearing from community members that we aren't working together around the issue of safety in our community, and we are challenged around what we are doing or what we have done. We have made some strides in enhancing our community safety through the great work of the people who have sat on the committees and work groups, and we know we have a lot more to do. But I think it's time for us to look at a new implementation model to continue our work. I have had conversations with other municipalities around what they are doing in this area. And almost every person I spoke to have been or are at the same place we are at in our community safety work. There hasn't been a template to follow until now because public safety concerns are increasing in almost every community across the country. And through a learning process of community feedback and experiencing what's worked and what hasn't worked, there are now some very comprehensive and results-oriented community safety and well-being plans available as examples. There are two best practices that are in the plans I reviewed, and I would like to suggest that it's time for us to move to a different implementation model with this in mind, at least for the next 10 months. Today, I'm introducing a concept that explains why the 4 recommendations have been presented. Tonight, I will provide context on the what and why. From here, I will put this concept paper on the February 11th Committee of the Whole for further discussion. Number 1, hire a community safety coordinator. This position would give us the capacity to be more proactive and tailored in expanding our ability to facilitate safety initiatives, liaising with community partners, responding to resident inquiries, engaging with community groups, and provide more opportunities for our residents to feel heard and to keep them updated and informed of the work being done. Number 2, set up a community safety office. This would be the office of the community safety coordinator and could also be the hub to create more opportunities for engaging in conversations with community partners, such as RCMP officers, bylaw officers, community partners, restorative justice, community association members, volunteers engaged in community safety initiatives, and information on emergency preparedness. Thank you. Any questions?
Okay, thank you. So you're going to bring, or we'll have a report in our agenda package for the February 11th. So that's, okay. So, okay, thank you. Councillor Shepherd.
Through the chair, just because I've missed the last few meetings, if I could ask Councillor Bell, just so I have it sort of clear in my mind. So I recognize that there's been confusion in the community over the past while because the nature of the Community Safety Committee has changed over time since the last election. So and please tell me as I try and talk it out to myself. So what we're looking at doing is sort of the workforce, safety workforce, which has a lot of members of the public, will still continue, but we also have this technical working group, is that?
No. So the community, and that's part of the confusion. We started as a community safety committee, community select committee, then we went to community safety committee, then a work group. And this is why, this is the purpose of really starting a new page and sort of cleaning this up. So what we would do is per the recommendations, is that we would no longer have a community safety select committee. The Community Safety Working Group will be dissolved and the Community Task Force will be dissolved. So those are the names in which we kind of worked under over the last year. Done. And so we're going to move forward at this point with what we call the the Technical Working Group, which would be subject matter experts at this point. So those are really a lot of the people that are around the table right now in order to help us move forward to really understand what we need in every sector in terms of support, whether it's Vancouver Coastal Health, RCMP, restorative justice, all the subject matter experts within the social services area, as well as emergency preparedness. And that's where we would look at bringing them on board to help us set up, I hope, the concept that I presented tonight, in which we would look at hiring a safety coordinator. And we've been ad hoc really in the work we've been doing. I think we've been doing fantastic work. And we've done it through committee, we've done it through volunteers, we've done it through incredible members of the community who are still very, very committed. But I think we really need to really commit and to invest in someone that can manage this, that can do this on a day-to-day basis or on a part-time basis. So they can take all of the things that need to be done in this work plan that we want to create, help create the work plan with the advice of the technical working group and also the information that we have been working with, and we will bring that forward. So this is really, and then in addition to that, the office, and again, this will all be something we need to discuss because this will be budget-based, but the office, in my mind, what I feel we're really missing is a hub for people to come together and where volunteers can come together. We've often talked about having safety resources available for people, maybe some workshops, all of those kind of things. Having maybe the bylaw officer sit in that room, sit in the office, sometimes have council members there. So I just feel that we don't have an opportunity to engage the community more with the subject matter experts that also need to be part of the discussion and part of the opportunity to meet the community. So that's, I guess what I'm suggesting is that we have a more open, we have somebody to manage the process, and then we open it up so that we're more available to the community.
Just, turn your microphone. So the question I heard from Councillor Shepherd is the public in the select committee or whatever will not be around. Will the public be involved in the technical working group? So, okay, so that's, I think, what you were driving at, Councillor Shepherd, under this proposal. Councillor Inkster.
Thanks. Just through you to Councillor Bell, just want to do a little bit of what I've been hearing, sort of discussion in the community, and just talk through you to Councillor Bell about hopefully this committee meets some of those concerns, because we've also talked about them as people feel unsafe, and they've felt more unsafe in the last number of years than previously in our community. A number of people, especially those that live downtown, that's what I've been hearing. I've been hearing that some think that council either doesn't care or isn't doing enough, although we have been doing a number of things, and I certainly care. I drive from work home. I don't go straight home. I go through the downtown core. I zigzag through the downtown core if I'm going home at night, and I'm one of the ones that's out at night because of work and that, and I walk through the downtown at night. And in the early evening, if people don't see me, they just need to come out more because I'm often walking through the downtown core. So I'm keeping an eye on those things, although I may not be in those areas that people have identified. But I certainly drive near them and around them. So that's what I've been hearing. I'm hoping we can meet those kinds of concerns. And I'm also hearing that some community members don't feel that we engage them enough. So through you, what I've also been hearing is, will this committee, because we've talked about it, be able to deal with some of those concerns through you to Councillor Bell.
Okay, Councillor Bell and Councillor Roberts.
Yes, that's so.
Director Roberts should jump in too.
Sure. And through the chair, I think there's a misunderstanding that the public won't be involved. We're talking about a committee. The public are always involved in terms of what we want to hear. This hub, this volunteer coordinator will be somebody that's assigned to make sure these things happen. Where we've been in a committee, I would say that we've been, if you like, we're stuck. We need to move forward. We need to start putting some of these things, these actions into implementation. And that's where we haven't moved forward. And now this is the opportunity to have someone that will be directly responsible for moving these things forward that come through the subject matter experts in their fields of expertise, but also come from the public in terms of what's important to them. This will enable us to have even more contact with the public rather than just through a committee. It will enable us to open up our communication and our visibility with the public even more.
Okay, thank you. Director Roberts, did you want to add anything?
Sure. Thank you for the question. I just want to echo what Councillor Bella is saying. This, if we were to have the added resources, we would be able to spend that time on coordinating the efforts. I had an email that came in today from BC Housing confirming that they will be putting up the fence that they committed to. That is something that is happening on the side of my desk that I look forward to updating the technical work group on, but these things are happening, and I'm currently the hub for a lot of that, and I'm happy to continue that way. But to have somebody who's coordinating all of these different groups, whether it's the CAT team or Block Watch or emergency preparedness, or talking about the encampment, to put more resources and focus and prioritize community safety, I think could really enhance what we can do in the coming months. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Will the technical working group meetings be open to the public?
Happy to answer that. The reason we chose not to have it open to the public was because we were finding that our meetings are getting a little bit confusing and a little less nimble. And so the idea of having just subject matter experts in the room means that council can come and bring the voices from the public, but it's really a time to take action and to move forward with the initiatives that the group comes up with as far as what's best for the community. And that's working with folks from BCH or the RCMP or, like I said, Restorative Justice or Arrowhead to make sure that we're doing what's best for the different areas of the community and for the different population groups.
And thank you. Councillor Shepherd, please.
Yeah, I'm generally supportive of this if it helps expedite some of the sort of potential, not improvements, that's the wrong word, but changes to help augment community safety. And we have 10 more months left. So we have a very short time to put some of these things into effect. So I'll be looking forward to the report coming forward in February. But I wonder if I could, sorry, through the chair, perhaps ask Director Roberts, in a case like the presentation that was done to the committee on bylaws, where there are some great ideas, there are some things that are already in place. Is that something that would go to the technical committee and be dealt with? Thanks.
I'm happy to answer that. A presentation like that could be considered by the committee. What I found from that presentation is that most of the things that were spoken about had been spoken about in that committee already. So we do have bylaw professionals and we have experts already within our group. So if we wanted to hear from an outside voice, we could certainly make that decision in the technical working group. However, I believe we have the experts in the room already.
Please.
Sorry, just to follow up on that. So yeah, we've got the experts there, but how do we translate that into action, like changes? Thanks.
Yes, I would use an example. So if we're looking at adding a bylaw officer versus a community safety coordinator, it would be exhausting the pros and cons of that. So there's a variety of municipalities that have a community safety coordinator, and then there are some that have bylaw officers that work longer hours. So fleshing that out with folks like RCMP, who also are responsible for safety on the streets, would be a really important conversation to have, and then making sure that we're doing the best with those resources.
Sorry, one last, my
Please.
apologies, just to, so I understand the process. So if the technical committee makes a recommendation on like a new bylaw, so they would recommend, the technical committee would make a recommendation right to council.
That's correct. So it would probably be me, or if we did have a community service, a safety officer, somebody like that would come and say, this is what the group said, and we're recommending that we change the bylaw. You know, whether it was changing the encampment to breaking one of the recommendations we talked about was whether we move people along at 9 a.m. And so that could come directly from the committee and not have to go through council before bringing the recommendation forward.
Thank you. Councillor Toth and then Councillor McLaughlin.
Thank you. I'm supportive of trying something different because, yeah, I think I agree. We're sort of stuck right now, and we've got different committees and work groups and task forces and functions. And I think, you know, because all of council doesn't sit at the Safety Select Committee, I think there have been times when people have wanted to bring something forward to all of council or to committee of the whole, something like that. And so there's been some confusion about whether they should be coming as a delegation or whether they should go to the select committee or do both. And so I'm entirely amenable to trying something different here. I think if, members of the public want, decisions will still need to be made at council table if they're not just an operational thing. If there's a policy change, if there's a budget need, things like that, still has to come to council for a decision. And I think there's opportunities, either through community associations or through, email or people stopping us in the street. Like, I think we already know who a lot of the most interested parties are in the community when it comes to like the average citizen, so to speak. And I think we're already in touch with a lot of those people through our council emails and through meeting them for coffee, things of that nature. So I don't know that there needs to be more if decisions that require policy change, budget, still have to come to council anyways. And, if a group like Rising Seashell wants to get together and come do a presentation to council, again, like they can do that. They can be a delegation. And they don't have to worry about presenting to, 2 members of council one week and then the rest of us wonder what was talked about. And yeah, I think there's some opportunities for some streamlining and trying something different. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor McLaughlin, please.
Yes, thank you through the chair. I'm just wondering, for this particular proposal, a technical working group, how does that fit with the community charter and council? As far as I know, we can have standing committees and select committees, but we can't, and what we do has to be in public, unless it's in a closed meeting under certain requirements. So I don't see how this committee has authority under the community charter to be struck, okay? And I think part of it is, with good intentions to start these various committees, et cetera, it kind of got unwieldy, but of course we had a lot of issues to deal with. And of course, we keep saying don't download costs to us, especially with regards to safety. And here we are talking about creating, I don't know what, maybe an office, maybe a job. But what you're describing to me almost sounds like a staff role, and not a council role, like not a role where any councillors are involved anymore. And that might be something that we could just take it in that direction. You've got a lot of stuff fleshed out here, but I think having councillors involved gets a lot of lobbying, gets a lot of emotions, it's just, I think we've put in a lot of effort there, especially you, Brenda, already. Donna, pardon me, Councillor Gerwin Val. But so I see it being useful, but also we have to remember that it's costing the taxpayers. It's costing something else that we might be funding now. For instance, the RCMP have had to give up on some of their youth services to support this. So now I'm worried about the youth because, everything's so tight right now. It's very hard to give up anything. So, I mean, I think we could try it. Maybe we could lease out a space rather than say we have to build a hub and it has to be, a monumental effort. I think it can be a subtle effort, but also I think that the intent is good and maybe the process should be more just related to staffing. And that way everything will be on board. Minutes won't have to be taken, but we know our staff will keep us constantly informed. And I think that might be a way to go. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Bell, please. Yep, no, but
Yes, through the chair. I think tonight was for me to introduce this, and I like the way the discussion's going. I'd like to continue to have this discussion. I am completely open to whatever, to a direction. Really, my intent tonight was to just say, it's time to try something. It's time to, as Councillor Toth, it's time to streamline and time to build some different accountability into a community safety and well-being program, whatever we want to call it. And I think that's really important if we want to move forward in terms of where we want to spend our time, our resources, whether they're financial or human resources. So that's where I'm at. I'd like to discuss it obviously much more. This was completely a proposal tonight, and I look forward to further discussion.
Okay, thank you. I couldn't see you for the hands that went up. Councillor Shepherd, I saw yours first and then Councillor Inkster. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks through the chair. Just to sort of chip in terms of a little bit of background to reply to Councillor McLaughlin's point. You know, a good example of the technical working group, which I think Councillor Bell's proposing, has actually already happened sort of within the last 2 years when we have a growing health problem at the encampment area with real fears about pests and the health of the people who were living there. And it was actually our staff who sort of decided to bring together the RCMP, bylaw, fire department, and organize it was their suggestion to set up a program where they're going through the encampment twice a week, once with our bylaw and then with the RCMP along. And it's really a program that I don't see a lot of other communities having come up with. So I think that was a great example of a technical group of staff putting together a program that has really worked. So I think it's to finish off our term here, put in some final pieces in place. I think it's a great idea. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Inkster and then Councillor Rowe.
Yeah, thanks. I'm very comfortable with what's been presented here, and I'm really comfortable with what's been presented here, and I will be supporting it. And just speaking to, once again, what I've heard is to look at first of all, we have had technical groups at the district. One sewage commission was a technical working group. So we've done things like that before. That's just one. There's others. But in terms of what I've heard is I've heard in other communities, positions have been created as a liaison between the community, the district and or city and or town and the council and the community in other towns. And that's what's being proposed by Councillor Bell. That's what I've heard happening because as we all know, because we go to the discussions, conventions, AVICC, UBCM, LGLA. We're talking to other communities throughout BC that are dealing with this and many along the coast. So if people don't know, other communities are dealing with the same thing we are. Just go travel during the summer. But one of the things they did do was introduce the liaison officer and or more bylaw help. And so I certainly see that as a good result. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Rowe.
Thank you. I just wanted to commend Councillor Bell for her work on this. I think the terms of reference speak to the fact that we will keep community groups, agencies, and members of the public involved, even though, not necessarily sitting on the group. I see this as a sort of honing in on really, it's sort of the action team that can action some of the things that come to the group. So on that note, I think at this point, we're just considering what the group looks like as opposed to future February 11th reports that Councillor Bell will bring. So I will move recommendations 1 through 4.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Did I see a hand over here for a second? Okay, thank you. Councillor Toth. I'll jump in.
Thank you. Councillor Rowe sort of beat me to the punch. I did have one clarification question, actually on page 49. And maybe I can just move it as an amendment. Item 2.1, memberships shall include up to 3 members of council and District of Sechelt staff. And I'm wondering whether that's supposed to be up to 3 members of council, comma, in addition to District of Sechelt staff. Staff will be coming and going as needed and as expertise arises, I assume, but I presume this is not intended to be two members of council and one member of staff if we're appointing two members of council
Oh,
tonight.
That's it.
So, thank you.
I think that's probably correct. Can I pick up on that? So then that implies this is a committee of council. And to Councilor McLaughlin's comment, then are we creating a select committee, whatever other names in terms of the community charter, we can create select committees or I guess I can create standing committees. So are we creating a select committee? Is that the recommendation?
I can
Director
answer that.
Roberts?
Yep, thank you. It is not a standing, we're not looking for a committee at this point. I would agree with the amendment, and I agree with a lot of what Councillor McLaughlin has said. It is a staff-led technical group that we are inviting council to come on to be a voice for the public if they so choose to do so, but that's something we could certainly look at as well. But it would be a staff-led technical group. Thank you.
Okay, so here's my take on this. I think that what we're calling a technical working group is a staff function. And I see that we still need provision for whatever we want to call it, the existing select committee. I think it's very important. A lot of the community safety work involves policy direction. It involves political advocacy work and based on certainly what we're hearing from Councillor Bell, budgetary approvals. And those are all things that are council decisions and we would benefit from the input from the members of the public that sit on the select committee. And then from there, the staff-led part is the operational part. So I would see this group, I don't think we need members of council on this group. You know, we're reminded that you know, our job is not to get into the weeds and operational items. And so I don't think we need to focus on having any members of council on this. In fact, I think it's Mr. Yates and his team to decide how they want to implement things like if we approve the community safety coordinator, I believe is the term you used, then fine. You know, it can be created as a hub. It can be created as who it reports to and so on is Mr. Yates' decision. But I think that we're doing a disservice to the community in terms of our the priorities and how important this is to the community to remove the possibility and the input that comes from the people that have been sitting on that, the very well-meaning and hardworking volunteers. I see one member has left the meeting already, but was here tonight. So I'm not in favor of number one of the recommendations. I think we should keep the select committee to get the benefit from those various members of the public. I've never really been clear that we actually formally created a working group or a task force, but so I have no issue with dissolving them. And I think number 4 should be actually essentially left until we hear from perhaps Councillor Bell and staff on how this community safety coordinator function would be implemented. I am for the moment, yes.
Yeah, okay, just a technical question on the technical committee. Weren't all 4 motions moved and seconded?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're talking to them.
Oh, okay. Okay, but you pulled out 1 and 4, yet they're all on the table, so.
No, I haven't pulled them out. I was speaking to them.
Well, you pulled
My
them
view.
out to discuss
Mhm. So-
here at this table, and you picked out 1 and 4, but all 4 are on the table, so with support. So I just wonder how we'll proceed. Thanks.
Well, I'm speaking to I suppose if we want to break them into votes on each 1, 2, 3, and 4 separately, then we could address it that way. But I think that, I think that we owe it to the public to continue to engage and to provide a venue for them to engage formally. I think the function when something is staff-led is fine, but that's an operational item, and absolutely, that's staff's responsibility. But I think that there's a lot of the policy and political stuff that is still going to be, we would benefit from the input from the public as part of what I'm proposing. We could keep the select committee to provide us with that. Councillor Shepherd, please.
Yeah, I think to that point, to respond to that point, I recognize, the input that they've had, the frustration that built up over time, and that's why there was a select committee and so forth. I'm sort of envisioning that the technical committee will end up, for example, we'll come up with 4 recommendations to be input in the last 10 months that we have. But I think to respond to someone else who made the point, those recommendations will come to council. It'll be on an agenda. We can discuss that, once the agenda gets released with the public, and they can say yes or no, or, we want this change. So we'll have that time to comment on, let's say, the 4 recommendations that come forward. So I think council is going to hear their input. Thanks.
I suppose it's a case of time and sequence. So anyways, I've said what I said there. The one thing I'd also observe, I'd like to see us put something in place that goes a lot more than 10 months. We have 10 months in this term, but I'd love to see the structure in place that carries on because it's such a good structure. So I certainly encourage us to think about this as much more than a 10-month exercise. Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes, thank you through the chair. Yeah, I agree. I think safety is a bigger question than just dealing with crime. Safety is about emergency preparedness. It's about dealing with climate change. It's about who knows what, just making people feel that they're listened to so that they don't feel unsafe about a lot of things. Because right now we're living in kind of a crazy time, right? I feel unsafe about international things. So I think it has potential to be a very important committee going forward, and will broaden hopefully its definition. But I think, a lot of people have had a lot to say, but a lot of people have had nothing to say. Like, we don't ask the people on the sidewalk in the tent, what do they want? But we, caring people know what they need, I think. How we do it, I don't know, but it's important that it is something that is much broader than just current safety encampments and abrasion between groups of people caused by circumstances mostly out of our control. So I think there's a lot of potential. It's a good thing. And the wellness comes from feeling safe, right? And getting the support you need and supporting each other as a community. So I think there is a lot of potential there in terms of even like climate change. I would like to see that addressed through wellness so that people, young people especially, that are very concerned about climate change can get some wellness out of what we're doing there and how we're doing it. And that means also making them feel like they're not going to be homeless, like society's caring about them and doing things with them, and there's people they can talk to, and there's projects that locally they can work on to build that future. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, thank you. So, okay. Councillor Bell, if you
Through the chair?
yeah,
Oh,
please.
and to your point, Councillor McLaughlin, I completely agree. In fact, I really didn't want to get into that tonight because I want to focus on these 2 concepts. But where I would, thank you. Where I would also like to go is to absolutely look at communities beyond safety. So community safety and well-being. And I will say that the work that I have been reading, people I've been talking to are moving into the well-being as well. So that means that we're talking safety, but we're also talking about all of the community. We're talking about youth. we're talking about the LGBTQ community, we're talking about involving the whole community as part of this. So that's my vision as well. And I hope that that's something that we do move into. And I will say, in the conversations that I've had, whether you look at Victoria, you look at Campbell River, you look at Burnaby, they're all moving to a safety, community safety and wellness, or community safety and well-being. So I couldn't agree with you more, and I would like to see that as well.
Okay, can I get, I want to, this is important. Is the technical working group, it's not open to the public. Will there be minutes kept and released? Yes,
I'll answer. I will answer the question only in the sense that I think, and I can understand and appreciate the questions tonight. I think they're great questions, and I think they need to be answered, and maybe not, they don't need to be answered tonight. But more so, your big question is, we definitely need to keep the committee or the community more informed. Yes, what are we talking about? What are the steps going forward? All of that, because I recognize that I have not done a good job as the chair to keep minutes and to share those with the community. And that's why I want to pivot now and have someone that is, whether it's a community safety coordinator that reports to staff,
right,
they look at being accountable for that.
right. So, okay, so I'll turn it to Director Roberts.
Thank you. Yeah, it being a staff,
Minutes and,
it being a staff-led group, I would imagine we would keep minutes and would want to be transparent with the public. We've made a commitment to do that on our safety page. So we have a page on the website that speaks to community safety. So that might be a good place for it, but I would look to the group to see how they would best want to communicate out what's happening, whether it's just our action items or a full list of minutes. That would be the first thing that we would probably speak to in our first meeting.
okay, because that's not what, I just realized that it's not what the terms of reference say. 3.2 says that the meeting should be operated as internal district staff meetings. So that's fine, but that's not a committee then that council should be involved in.
Sure. Yeah, I'm looking to pivot to the will of council. We want to make sure that we're delivering the way that you would like us to be delivering this to the community, but it's a staff-led technical group that we're inviting 1 or 2 up to 3 council members, not quorum, on if they'd like to represent the public. And again, that doesn't have to be the case if you're going to carry on chairing a select committee. But
Yes.
the idea of it is that it's a staff-led group and we can do minutes or we can report out on actions. We will be discussing that in the technical working group.
Well, except that we as council have to, the way this is coming to us, we have to approve the terms of reference. So I'm not sure we can do that today, but I'll turn it over to Councillor Toth.
Thank you. I guess my only comment here is on page 49. 2.2, technical working group is staff-led in its day-to-day operations and work planning. Members of council serve in a liaison and oversight capacity and do not direct staff or operational decisions. I mean, in that regards, we've got plenty of groups and committees and folks that we meet with where we're liaisons, and we're bringing that back to the council table as part of our council reports. We don't necessarily see the minutes of the chamber meetings, for example. So I appreciate the question. I would appreciate more written information coming out of the, safety work that we are doing. It's one of those things where we've had so many cooks in the kitchen, so to speak, and I've tried to stay out of it. And now I'm finding myself not even knowing what the safety groups have been up to this term. So I can appreciate the question. It is here as a, council serves as a liaison. So what does that look like?
You see, as a staff committee, internal staff committee, I think that it's inappropriate that any individuals be appointed to that committee. I think it's fine if staff want to invite a member of council or members of council, that's an entirely different thing. But once we start appointing members to an internal committee, it's a precedent that I think it's a line we don't usually cross. So this is why I'm coming back to saying, great, let's leave the technical working group as a staff-led and staff-operated committee. And we can either deal with our part of this package here at the council table or through the select committee. Yes, please.
Thank you. It's an interesting question. Last term, myself and Councillor Lamb were appointed to an internal staff committee that was looking at the new operations center project. And so we were council liaisons and representatives on that committee. And I think it went fine. You know, we reported back to council as a whole. Council made a decision and we moved on. I wonder, like, I'm just curious between your past experience in Sechelt and also Councillor Inkster, your extensive history with the District of Sechelt. If you've got other thoughts on, you know, committees that have been internal committees that council, members of council have participated in. Like, I don't think this is a precedent. I'm just seeing if that's the case for either of you. Thanks.
The only one I can think of is similar where there was a committee for the construction of the Water Resource Center. So for a project, I can see it different than this is an ongoing staff-led committee. So I'll stand by what I said. I think we're creating a whole other layer of complexity that I'd rather leave all of the implementation work with staff. Trust that they will deal with it. And if we want to know what's going on, we can ask questions of our staff at this table. I just wanted to, Councillor Inkster, did you want to comment on Councillor Toth's question at all? Do you remember any precedents or?
Well, there's been a number of, did you? Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, over the years, there's been a number of different committees that have been set up for the district, by the district on a number of different issues. You mentioned one that you were big into, was where the council was only involved in. The other one was the RCMP committee for the building. And that had council members involved in. And the reason, I mean, the argument you could make is it's project related. Well, the reason that there's council members involved in those and for any length of time and project related and connected is there's about to be and needs to be about to be a large amount of public money spent in a number of those cases. So that's why you have those committees. This doesn't have an expenditure. Which other than the results that then come to be approved by council for a staff member, which we probably very much need in this community. So as I indicated before, I'm very comfortable with the recommendations that were presented with Councillor Bell and Shepherd involved. And I think council members, including myself, have been very encouraging and clear to Councillor Bell, who I've talked to a number of times about this, is just, we just have to put a mechanism in place that the public continues to be involved. And I know that Councillor Bell has certainly heard that. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Shepherd.
I thought it was a good idea to have the minutes perhaps come to council, you know, every month, at least every month, so that all of council's aware of what's going on and the public. I just wonder if we could come to a vote on this.
Thank you. I think I wanted to point out, yes, Councillor McLaughlin in 1 second. Just for the discussion, I think it would make sense if the last point, which is sort of a double, if the last item that the wellness working group be approved, that be a item, we refer to that as item 5, because I'm going to call the vote on each of these individually. Councilor McLaughlin.
I'm
please.
sorry, Your Worship, just a
Mm.
point of clarification. My understanding was we have an amendment on the floor that's been moved and seconded, which would need to be addressed prior to the main motion, which was moved and seconded as well. So those two items need to be addressed before we can start making further
Yep.
pulling out items.
Help me, what is the amendment?
It's a wording change to item 2.1 on the terms of reference to add the phrase, in addition to DOS staff.
Thank you. Okay, really got moved and seconded. Glad somebody's paying attention.
I
Thank you.
noted that Councillor
Yep.
Toth had moved it and that you
Right.
had supported the statement.
Okay, thank you. Councilor McLaughlin?
Yeah,
I guess
if I-
with the amendment.
Yes.
I do think counselors should not be on this committee. In the cases you were talking about, were doing major projects that had consultants.
Mhm.
And so those consultants were the professionals that were doing it. In the case of safety, if we hire somebody, maybe that should be somebody who is our consultant, because our staff are not really trained, really. They have various roles here, but they're not experts in community safety. So if we're going to actually make it a role, I think it's not fair to have involvement from counselors, because none of us are really experts in it either. And, or really fair to just have staff on their own do it. They need somebody who has professional expertise to do it if this is the way you want to go. And so it's not, I think we need to keep it simple here. We need to make sure that we know who's doing what, why, without spending too much money or getting too many people involved. We're just talking about our various committees and appointments. A lot of people are on them, and I'm not, because a lot of people are invested emotionally with their friends, with a lot of different things about how they came to council, which is why they're on so many committees. There's not really a committee that's that up my alley, which would be sustainability. So if we had 5 of those, I'd probably be on it. But in this case, I think it's important to keep it simple, have staff follow through with what we're talking about here, have them report to the CAO, and not really have too much involvement from council anymore, because I, for one, have been just playing it by ear, but I have not been involved. I didn't know when staff decided to go clean up the encampment and twice a week. I didn't know about a lot of things. So I want to see that change, and I want it also be reported to the public, so the public knows what we're doing, when and why, and maybe how much it's costing. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Can we deal, did you want to?
Yeah.
Short, please?
Yeah, I want to see elected representatives on all our committees because they're responsible and accountable to the public very clearly. And that's why I want to see them on our committees. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Can I seek clarification from our corporate officers? So the 2.1 in the terms of reference is an amendment. And can you, just so that I'm clear, the amendment, so we're clear what we're voting on?
Excuse me. So the main motion includes recommendations 1 to 4. The amendment that I heard from Councillor Toth was in reference to the 4th recommendation, where the terms of reference would be endorsed. So the wording would be added, and that these words be added in item 2.1 in the terms of reference, and that those terms of reference be endorsed. So the words that would be added would be in addition to district staff, which makes the statement
Right.
membership shall include up to 3 members of council and in addition to district to Sechelt staff.
Yeah. You clear?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that's about item 4, which is a two-part. Help me.
If the amendment is endorsed, that amends the draft terms of reference.
Right,
So if the amendment passes, that draft would be amended. And then it goes back to the main motion
Mhm.
for council to decide if those terms of reference are in fact endorsed.
Okay. All right. Everybody okay? We'll call the question on the amendment. All in favor? Carried. Yeah. Okay, so can I ask that we vote, well, do we need to split 4 into 4 and 5?
I don't think so, because I'm supportive of all of it, but.
Okay.
You know, I believe that would be an amendment.
It is, it is. Okay, well, yes, I'd like to split 4 and 5, 4 into 4, and then the bottom sentence to be 5, because, well, so that's my motion. Simply to, thank you, Councillor Shepherd. All in favor of numbering it 5? Carried. Okay, then we've got the recommendations in front of us, and I'd like to call them one individually. Okay, so all in favor of,
I'm sorry, Your Worship, that amendment just amended the main motion that's already on the floor, which
Yes.
includes all of them. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 now to consider. So we can only amend a main motion 2 times. So that just passed. We split the one into 2 parts
Uh-huh.
with 2 different numbers. So the next proceeding is to vote on that main motion with those 2 amendments included. The other option would be for the mover of the main motion to withdraw her motion. Otherwise, the council needs to vote on that motion that's on the floor.
excuse me, Mr. Yates, did you have something? Could, your microphone, please? Mr. Yates?
I'd have to
sorry?
double check. I'd have to double check. It may take both the mover
It-
and the seconder to agree to the withdrawal.
Yeah, I believe that's right, but I didn't hear your question. That's why I was asking. You were asking her to clarify your question. All right, thank you. So Councillor Rowe and Councillor Shepherd, or who did we?
Councilors Shepherd and and Bell both seconded it at the same time, so I wasn't able to determine
That's-
exactly which was first to the draw.
You first.
Honestly, I moved all 5, but if it gets us through this, I'll withdraw the motion. I know, I
Well-
actually hate doing that. Just so you know.
You don't know if it'll get us through it.
Yep. No what? Your microphone, please.
I'm at not withdrawing the motion. I've seconded it. I want to move forward with all 5.
Well, I understand that's how you wish to vote.
What do you ask?
I think it's germane that some of this I would be supportive of and some of it I'm not. So in the face of having to vote on all 5, then I will be obliged to vote opposed to the whole thing. Because instead of voting in favor of some and not in favor of others. Councillor Inkster. yes.
Yeah, just
Well,
to-
I need to
yeah.
just, so at the moment, we're not with, there's been, because you're recognizing Councillor Shepherd that Councillor Bell seconded it. Okay, so it's not withdrawn, so Councillor Inkster, please.
Yeah, so, I mean, you're only one vote, right? So you voted for or against things. So I'm assuming, Chair, as it stands, that the 5 are sitting there and they do not agree to them being broken into singles, so, yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
Okay, so in that case, I guess we're obliged to vote on the 5 as a block. We can, if you'd like to say something briefly, please.
I think it's important that we do break this down and
I'd like to call the question, please.
Councillor Bell? Could you turn your
Excuse me?
microphone off, please?
yeah, we've been stumbling along with all types of different groups and things, you know,
Okay, so,
and this is a chance to do it clean and right, I think. And so
okay, thank you.
it's
I-
not really,
I-
I'm not going to support it.
Understood, yep. Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll call the question. And this is, all 5 items, I guess. All in favor? Opposed? Counselor McLaughlin and myself are opposed. Motion carries. Okay, council, we'll move on then to item, minutes and item 7.1. Counselor Shepherd?
I'm ready to adopt, but is this the one that there's an amendment to?
No, that's item 7 point, that's why I called item 7.1. So, I'm sorry, I follow what you're saying. That's 7.2.
Oh, okay. So I'll move to adopt.
Okay. Second. Okay, all in favor? Carried. So item 7.2, there was I guess, just a drafting error in the minutes, so.
I believe it's 7.3, Your Worship.
7.3. Okay, I'm gonna get it right at the beginning of the meeting. Yeah, I just learned, yep. Okay, item, on page 63, then we'll go to the meeting of January 14th. And, the one thing I would note is the item 1, the chair did not note the land acknowledgement. Page 63.
Yeah.
Item 1. First of all, I think it's just it's our template because it's a council meeting and it wouldn't normally refer to the chair. But so that's that. There was, it should read as in other council minutes, none. That's our process. So with that amendment, correction, I did go back and look at the video when I saw that just to make sure. So I have a motion to adopt as amended. All in favor? Carried. Now, item 3. So this is, I'll turn it over to Ms. Paulson for the correction. Please.
Thank you, Your Worship. A member of our Tilikum Bay Community Association had noted that the capital requests from the Community Association had an error in it. We double-checked and confirmed that that was the issue. So to correct the error, the error is actually in the minutes. It's also represented on our order paper on page 2 of our agenda. So the motion that we're recommending to correct this is that council disregard the recommendation for item 7.3 as presented on the January 21st regular council agenda, and that the minutes of the December 17th special committee of the whole meeting be amended to replace recommendation number 2 with the following motion, which corrects typographical errors as well as the reference to a lookout in Tuwanik. The revised recommendation number 2 will then read that staff bring cost estimates and options associated with the following Community Association capital requests forward for council's consideration. A, new wayfinding signs in the downtown Sechelt Village. B, a connector trail between Tilikum Bay Road to Naylor Road. And C, Tilikum Bay beach access. And that the minutes be adopted as amended and the revised recommendation number 2 be endorsed.
Okay, so it's correcting a couple of words, I think is a fair statement.
Correct. There's a spelling error on Naylor and a couple of extra words that shouldn't have been in there.
In C, yeah. Okay, so moved as amended, moved the adoption of the minutes of January 14th as amended. Or, yes.
That's what I'm.
Ms. Paulson, are we making a motion to that effect, or are we just amending the minutes?
staff are recommending that a new motion be on the floor, or be moved on the floor, which is that council disregard and that the new revised recommendation 2 be endorsed. So there's 3 parts. One is that the agenda, page 2, is going to be disregarded, and that the minutes are going to be amended to replace recommendation 2 with a new version. Once that's replaced, then those minutes are endorsed as amended. And the minutes are adopted
Yes.
as amended, and the revised recommendation 2 is endorsed.
What she said. Okay, thank you. Everybody okay? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Okay, so we get to 7.4, page 71. And that starts, yes. So, everybody, any concerns? 71, 70, page 70. Yes, please.
Thank you, and I might just be misremembering this, so I'm happy to be corrected. It only came to me this evening, but on page 72, right before the carried on recommendation 2, it suggests that the $10,000 for Arrowhead was funded from the Public Safety Reserve. I'm just trying to recall because we did that so on the fly. I want to say that it was the suggestion was that it was funded from surplus. But maybe I've got it wrong, and I'm entirely happy to be corrected if that's the case.
Okay. That sort of rings more, but Mr. Yates?
No, it was the safety reserve.
Mm-hmm. Okay, there is some, we did talk about a bunch of them, but okay, so you're okay, so as presented, yeah. Anything, can I have a motion, please? Seconded, all in favor, adoption, and endorsing the recommendations on page 2 of our agenda. Okay. Very good. Council, we then go to council reports, the SCRD representatives.
You can see that we planned this out really well ahead of time. Just a couple things to report for the regional district, at least from my perspective. Please fill in my gaps, Councillor Inkster. Monday, I actually chaired my first public hearing in quite a long time. It was the first time in 2 terms that I recall somebody having been ejected from a public hearing due to failing to maintain respectful behavior. So I'm sure Councillor Inkster, with your extensive years, you've probably seen it, but yeah, it was an interesting experience, and we weren't sure whether we were going to have to recess the public hearing or not. So solid waste management plan draft is on tomorrow's agenda in the morning for discussion prior to sending it out for community engagement and also engagement with all of the governments on the coast. We've got the budget intergovernmental next week on January 29th in the morning. And so that'll be all the governments on the coast at the table, hopefully, sharing what's going on with their respective budgets. And then round 2 budget, this is a little bit in the future, but we don't have a council meeting before it, so I'll mention it. Round 2 budget is scheduled for February 2nd and 3rd. Some outstanding items that are remaining are around transit expansion, which we pay into, solid waste, which we pay into, and parks, which we don't contribute to here from the district to Sechelt. So haven't seen the agenda yet. Don't know the magnitude of those costs or the impacts for the district. As soon as we have the agenda, I'll forward it around to folks just so that they've got it for information. And yeah, I think I'll just leave it there. Let Councillor Inkster fill in any gaps. The director.
Thanks. Not too much to add to that. Good on the chair for covering some really important points. I just want to, based on one of the things that Councillor Toth, Chair Toth said, it's funny, you know, they're struggling with parks right now over there, how to fund their parks, and I think one of the challenges they have is travel time to get to their parks. That's a conundrum for them to try to get to the work that needs to be done. But I did want to say to this council and to staff again, one of the directors said, why can't we have as good a parks as the District of Sechelt? That's what one of the directors said in that discussion. Why can't we do that? And of course, I'm delighted to hear that. And they've talked about fields too, so how good they are. So I'm once again double delighted to hear those things. But we can do more, and I have some more ideas. But we just get so many kudos, and we're getting them at that table. It's being recognized in that area. Two things. We had a couple of good discussions. One was on some of on future water projects. So those are just ongoing to try to make sure that we have water redundancy. And I guess this council does know that the meters have really helped and will continue to help going forward. And the other thing I wanted to mention is we had a meeting on Islands Trust issues with some of the changes that they're going through, and that's really important. I don't know if council knows, but the Trail Islands is part of the Islands Trust. And some people may not know that, but that's just a little bit of information for this group and for this public and for our staff if they don't know. Thanks.
Thank you. How about we, I don't know, start with Councillor Shepherd. He probably wants to go to bed soon.
Nothing to report.
Well, you do. You've got a lot. What have you been doing for the last few weeks? He's a little jet lagged. Councillor Bell?
I'll just add one thing, and we had a round table, or there was a round table organized by the Sechelt Downtown Business Association. And the purpose was to bring the businesses in the downtown core together to talk about their concerns and issues, and was attended by MP Patrick Weiler, MLA Randy Neal, and Mayor Henderson. And it was, I think these roundtables are really a very good idea in terms of it really does allow our community an opportunity to, to have their voice, and also to be able to ask important questions. And so questions were taken away. Will be certainly, I think Teresa will be doing some minutes on that. I would say that the concerns were, and Mayor Henderson, you could probably add to this, the temporary foreign workers in terms of the concerns around, obviously, the new legislation or change in the policy, and which is going to impact a number of the workers that are working in Sechelt right now. And there's still hope. MP Patrick Weiler is advocating very, very hard in Parliament around this. It's affecting rural communities in a great way. It's not just Sechelt, there's other rural communities. So not sure what kind of movement there will be on that, but there was certainly a very heartfelt stories that were told at that, at the round table, and let's hope that something can be done. The other thing, of course, was safety, and so that was brought up as a concern, particularly. I know that Trail Bay Sports for Source for Sports, and so we talked about what that obviously things are being done. The thing that did come up quite often with that was the bail reform, the possible changes in that. I had a meeting today with MP Weiler and team, and certainly there is more. The bills are going through Parliament now, and some of them are in their third readings. So the plan is to see how these bail reforms or how these bills will impact us at the local level. I think that's the most important thing. What change will that mean for us? And I think there could be some news coming from that soon. And the final, I think the other one was around, the cost of leasing in the downtown core, and that there's pretty significant and very difficult for some of our retailers in terms of trying to make some of these lease costs. So if I missed anything, I'll let
Okay.
you add to that.
Thank you. Counselor Inkster
Yeah,
and Counselor
thanks.
Thompson, McLaughlin and Rowe.
Yeah, I sort of heard about the discussion with Downtown Business Association. Would have been good to, I don't know who put that on, but it would have been good for council to be there. Just because it's our downtown, so I'd have loved to have been part of that and here. The mayor being there is good, but you know, it's really important to all of council. We use the downtown. Anyway, just a couple of things, and it's sort of stemming out of things that have been said at the regional district on a couple important issues, daycare and long-term care. I've just had a number of conversations with people in the community that are concerned about both those issues, and so it's good to see our council commitment to try to try to facilitate some solutions in both those areas. But there's been a lot of conversation the last number of weeks. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Counselor Toth.
Thank you. I actually missed reporting out on Regional Hospital District. We had hospice on the agenda again because they're looking for some capital funding for their home for hospice in Roberts Creek that they're building. And they're looking for sort of up to around $1.5 million. And the Regional Hospital District, the legislation that sets it up, is really intended for capital funding of hospital facilities as designated by the Minister of Health. And so we asked staff to sort of go down that path of having hospice designated as a hospital facility, because, you know, everybody at that table spoke about, you know, the need to support some funding for hospice. Not only the immediate effects of having a new hospice facility available on the coast, but the knock-on effects of freeing up some beds in Silverstone. And so that was really well received by the Regional Hospital Board. Some long-term care advocacy, Totem and Shorncliffe. The letter's just gone out from Mayor White, who is also chair of the Regional Hospital District. I've asked for that to actually come as an item of correspondence on our next agenda, because I think it's important that we continue those conversations. In terms of council, haven't had much that I've been up to from council perspective. I did close the survey that I had open on the bail reform initiatives, and I've sort of collated all those responses and am preparing to submit them through to MP Weiler. I did have 90 responses to that survey, and all of the responses that I received, I only had to like redact one name that was specifically mentioned in the comments. So thank you to everybody that submitted responses and was, you know, open and honest with the impacts of crime. I think that's advocacy work that we can do and we can carry on, and I'm happy to do that. So that's really it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor McLaughlin.
I attended an online meeting with the National Climate Caucus on Friday. And the focus on that particular meeting was a youth climate corps. So developing a corps, like an army corps of youth instead, to help address climate issues. And they were saying that 16.6% of youth in BC are unemployed. So they don't want people, you know, young people to feel like we don't have things for them to do that are important, and especially things related to climate change. So I think there's a $40 million federal program to fund a long-term career path to train youth to get almost a Red Seal type of approval for having this accreditation on dealing with climate change issues. Again, relating to well-being, the buckets that they will be focusing on is emergency response, retrofits to bring emissions down and strengthening resistance. Examples are like firefighting and evacuation. So I think these are skills that are, needed to be developed, and the youth have the energy and the youth and the strength and the intelligence to take it on. So I think that's a wonderful thing. Apparently in Courtney, they've kind of taken a leadership and being a pilot project for this. So that's great, because I think there is kind of a strong awareness here on the coast to have that kind of attitude. But of course, the major cities are going to take a lot of the funding, Toronto, et cetera, Montreal, Quebec City. And so it's going to be a challenge to get that, but they would like to have $1 billion to actually do this. So, and these people enrolled in this program would become federal employees. They would become, have job security for at least 2 years. They would have a proper salary and would be trained as almost like an army of environmental helpers. So I think, there is youth out there. I found this very interesting. I was thinking of our college closing and thinking, wow, like maybe we could use it for things like that, because I'm too old and tired to do all that work, that's for sure. So, yeah, it was very inspiring. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Rowe.
Nothing for me. I'm good.
Okay, well, let's see, I guess, start with some, well, it's been a challenging time. There's some family member illness, something for those of us getting on. We had a friend of ours trip and fall in our driveway, and he's in extended hospitalization as a result. And it's just because you get old and you trip. And a friend who chose MAID, and I just want to wish him and his family my thoughts. On a happier note, I attended the Polar Bear Swim on January 1st with the invitation of the Lions Club. It was a great turnout, and it was great fun watching people go in. I did, but wonderful. They raised some money. The great atmosphere. Everybody had a good time. No, that's why I say it was a pleasure to not go in. Definitely not. The Legion had a good fundraiser after the meeting with MP Weiler and MLA Neal. And just a shout out to them to support them. It is always a challenge for them. They're trying some different things. And just make sure you put them on your list of places to go. Shout out to the Lighthouse, who opened after the refresh. So check that out. And I had 8 people attending the Meet the Mayor session on Monday. Not sure why, but I've had 1 and I've had 60. Next 2 weeks will be at Lighthouse because Daily Roast is closing to take, so the owners can take a break. This ties into the staffing issues as well. Attended the Chamber of Commerce meeting today. Just in terms of reporting out on that, the government reps generally attend at the beginning and then leave before the business matters are attended to. Picking up on Councillor Bell's comments, something I want to emphasize, and this ties to what you're talking about, Councillor McLaughlin. We don't have youth unemployment. That there's more jobs here for the young people. And so when you hear numbers of 16%, I'm sure that's true for the province, but it's not true in most of the smaller communities. I will have more to say on the temporary foreign workers. I hope we will get some news. We've had another couple who have to leave on Monday with their kid, and I talked to them at some length, and it's just heartbreaking. And it's heartbreaking to the employees that they work with. And of course, the high school student in this case, that his friends is very touching. Apparently his friends here at Chat are taking up a collection so he can come back for a visit this summer. But he doesn't want to leave, and neither do the parents, and we need them. We talked a little bit, I think, about childcare, and that is another emerging issue that is, it permeates. Without childcare, we have people that can't work. If they can't work, then they will leave. And so the issues of that, it's not going to be solved by a couple of dollars an hour on a contract with the YMCA. It needs to be some structural changes, and I hope to have some more specific recommendations on how we can support initiatives in the coming weeks. But it's getting worse, as you've heard, with Little Flower apparently having to close. So that's my report. Please.
Thank you. I just wanted to jump in on the childcare component, because I know the Coast Reporter is working on a story about it right now to sort of continue to keep the awareness up there in the community. I really feel for folks like Little Flower. Like that's where my kid went to preschool when we first got to the coast. And I know that Lorianne Casey and her team are working really hard to try and find another space. And in their case, it is about the space. And I think that's something that people are going to have to work really hard on, because, a lot of these daycare programs can't afford to pay commercial rates for their space. And in the absence of that, what else is available? Talking to, Kim Darwin from the Affordable Housing Society, they're having a hard time finding an operator for their building in Gibsons for the childcare space, because the funding is tied to it being a nonprofit organization. And there just aren't really nonprofits in that sector, other than, the big ones like the YMCA. So lots of moving parts. Little Flower specifically, if somebody's got a space that they're willing to rent, they're very interested in carrying on, and their staff have been there for years and want to keep doing what they do best.
Yeah, true. Thank you. Okay, council, we go to the 10.1, which is the policing statistics. We did have a quarterly meeting with the RCMP. Director Leonard Lee from Area A attended, and Councillor Bell, myself, and I believe Director McMahon. Oh, you were online. Oh, yes. So I was trying to draw the
Hollywood Squares.
Yep. So we've got those statistics. We're starting to publish them now all the time. And I think they're there for the public to review and hopefully learn something from. I suppose my comment that came up during the meeting, there's been after November and December, early December, where every morning you'd wake up to a Facebook post. It was very quiet for a couple of weeks over Christmas, and the police responded that in fact some of our frequent flyers had been put up in accommodations where they got to go in and not come out for several weeks. So it's quite interesting that you take some of these folks off the street, and some of the issues that we've talked about, in fact, come to pass in a good way. Councilor McLaughlin or Bell, did you have anything to add on the stats? No? Okay, so I don't think there's any action required. So then we've got the Arrowhead Clubhouse request letter, and I wasn't clear. Perhaps we can get some clarification. Is the way it's phrased, it's like counselors? Is the idea that we could all send it, or is there proposal? Is that what Mr. Hatton wanted, or?
I actually asked Mr. Hatton about that just for clarification, and he's phrased the letter in this manner with the idea that the more letters sent, the better in his view. So he wanted to give council the choice to each send an individual personal letter and a possible, in addition to, a joint, a letter on behalf of the entire District of Sechelt Council.
Okay, council, what would you like to do? Councilor Toth.
Thank you. I mean, I'm happy to make a motion that, you know, members of council are free to individually support this initiative. And also that the District of Sechelt Council as a whole provide a letter to the MLA and the health minister to provide a voice of support for Arrowhead and these sort of services.
Okay, and that's seconded. Yep. Any discussion? All in, please.
Yeah, just to let council know, I've already signed this, by the way, so maybe we can do it that way. The SIB looks like they're giving them 25,000 over 5 years, times 5. Just to let us know.
5,000 times
25
times 5.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, just to let this council know. SIB. Yeah, Sechelt Nation. So just to let, yeah. So, just to let this council know that they're concerned and they're stepping up. Yeah.
Terrific. Thank you. So I'll call the question. All in favor? Send your letters.
Yeah, right here.
Okay. That being that, I guess we can entertain a motion to adjourn, please, and seconded. All in favor? We are adjourned. I do note we have people online. If you would like to ask a question, please raise your virtual hand, and of course,